Hey there, hustlers. Thanks for tuning in to Hustle with Holly at freerealestateagenttraining.com. I'm your host, holly.brink, and today we're going to talk about winning offers in a seller's market. So I just got off the phone with an agent who is writing a third offer for a buyer. These buyers have written offers on 2 other homes that they've really loved and they've missed out. They have typical financing and, everything's been pretty average. It's just that right now, at least in our areas, inventory is so low that buyers are competing for all types of properties. So I was just trying to give some ideas, and it got me thinking that this is something I'd like to share with you. And so there's a couple of tips. Commonly, you will see things like escalation clauses, which simply is verbiage in your offer saying that your client will go maybe $700 higher than any offer up to, and then a cap amount. This can work for you or work against you. And, everything that we do is sort of a gamble. So you just have to lay out these options for your client. So, as offers go, cash offers are often the strongest just because they can be a quicker close. But in all actuality, all offers and the end result is cash for the seller. So it's the same difference. Conventional loans give your buyers more purchasing power because they can purchase homes with less restrictions. Then you've got your FHA and your VA and your USDA loans, which have more restrictions. The properties need to be more like move-in ready. So that doesn't really affect your offer too much. It really affects what kind of property your buyer can buy. The important thing is making sure that your buyers are fully pre-qualified, pre-approved. They've already turned everything into a lender. That's going to make their offer stronger. So that would be tip number 1, is make sure your client is fully pre-approved, not just pre-qualified. So ask your lender about that. Tip number 2 is to shorten the inspection period. You can waive it altogether, although I wouldn't recommend that, but you could always shorten it to maybe 3 or 4 days. Find out if your home inspector is available sooner, or your buyer's preferred home inspector. Find out when they can get in the home. That way they know, okay, instead of 10 to 14 days, like maybe some of the other buyers wrote, your client is like ready to go. Tip number 3 is make your earnest money non-refundable out the gate. Your buyer's going to be tying up this property for 3, 4, 5 days, maybe 2 weeks. There has to be an appraisal if it's financing. And so by saying to the seller, like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, we're willing to put our $1,200 on the line. So if this doesn't work out, at least you have that. So that's kind of a consolation prize for the sellers. And finally, something that a lot of people don't think about that I used a lot as tips to win offers when I was representing buyers. I was mainly a buyer's agent back in the day, is offering to pay for the seller's closing costs. So if you have a buyer that actually has money, like our sellers have closing costs, and the contracts, you always see buyers asking for closing costs. But if your buyer doesn't have to ask for closing costs, don't. And then you can take it one step further if you want to be super aggressive and be like, hey, we're going to pay for your closing costs. You're going to net even more money on top of what we're giving you for the house. That usually blows people away. You don't hear about it very often. So those would be my 4 tips and tricks to actually write winning offers in a competitive seller's market. Hope that helps. Let me know for sure if you end up using any of these tips. Thanks for watching Hustle with Holly. See you again at freerealestateagenttraining.com.